What's on Your Mind is sponsored by ACMC 339 Dudley Road, New Star Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Studios, and Reggae Jam.
Good afternoon. How you doing? Welcome to another program in the series of What's on Your Mind. It's produced by Breakthrough TV. And I am Carl. So how you doing in this cold weather? I got to tell you, it's cold in the UK. We may have a little bit of technical issue with the sound. Let me apologize for that, But because when it's like this, the cold messes up everything. Have a look at this. Now, this is how cold it is, you know what I mean? It is cold in the UK. I think last night in some parts, even where I live, I think it was down to -5. This morning when I get up, it was 0, you know what I mean? And then it went back again, and then it's coming up. So it's one of those ones where it is cold. It is cold. So how you doing in this weather? Try and keep warm. And if you're in the UK, wherever you are, try and keep an eye on your relatives, your neighbors, or your friends. Make sure they, they drink a lot of warm stuff, and help them to go through this terrible time that we're actually having. And I'll say, I was talking to a senior citizen who came here about in the late 60s or in the early 60s, and he says in the 60s it used to be very, very bad in the winter. And he was saying to me, what they actually did, they actually used to go and buy different clothes. Because some people now you can wear actually the same clothes in the summer as you do in the winter. And he was actually saying that what they do, they go out and they go out and buy some winter clothes, you know what I mean, to keep warm. That's what they did in the 60s. He said they don't do so much these days, but it's just one of those ones, you know what I mean. It's just one of those ones. But as I say, keep yourself warm and look after yourself. And the football. We're going to look at a couple of things this afternoon. You know what I mean? We're going to look at a few stories, a devastating story we're going to look at. And then we're going to, look at a couple of other stories. Then we're going to talk about the football a little bit later on in my rant. I have to say something about the football, you know what I mean? And also quite a few things that I still need to talk about. Also, we have a special guest hopefully coming in, having a chat with us later on. Just got to say, once again, I want to apologize. My screen has actually gone down for a little while, so let me say thank you for sorting it out. Have a great afternoon, you know what I mean? Let me say thank you. And it's nearly Christmas. Not too long now before it's Christmas, you know what I mean? It's another one of those things, you know what I mean? It's not too far away. And what have you got your Christmas present? And what are you having for Christmas? You know what I mean? A lot of people are sort of struggling these days because they don't have a lot of money to buy to buy different things. So it's one of those ones, you know what I mean? So we hope you just take it easy, have a good time with your families and friends and chill out, because it is, as I say, it's a very, very tough time for a lot of people at the moment, you know what I mean? And it's just one of those ones. But nevertheless, you know what I mean, if you have your families and your friends and, you know what I mean, you sort of can get together and just have a nice, easy, peaceful time or whatever. It just, you know what I mean, it should be good, you know what I mean? Let me say a big shout out to you guys who tune in from the United States, also Jamaica, big shout out to you. Also my family in Jamaica, my family in America, and my family in Canada, my family in Italy. So many parts of the world you guys are. Germany, big shout out to you. All the guys who tune in from all across the world, let me say a big shout out to you. And thanks for your support, because I know you keep supporting the program. And you say the program is getting better and better and better all the time. Let me say thank you. Thanks for also your constructive criticism. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Ian, big shout out to you. Paul, you know who you are, so Paul, big shout out to you. Thanks for your support. You are a very crucial supporter, you know what I mean? And a very, very, you give us some very, very good information. So let me say, Paul, you know who you are. You actually know who you are. Let me say big shout out to you. Now, I got to say, we've had some devastating news as we come on the air this afternoon. And wow, it is just so devastating just as we come on the air. Across the weekend, 3 boys, 8, 10, and 11, actually was probably on a lake, and the lake was frozen, and they go under, you know what I mean? They go under the lake, and they actually died, those 3 boys. And there was another boy who was a fourth boy who was actually very, very critical, and he was taken to hospital, a 6-year-old. And this afternoon, just before we came in here, we actually learned that he has also died, you know what I mean? And we say big condolence to the family, you know what I mean? Big condolence to the friend. And this happened in Solihull, you know, Kingshurst, what we call Kingshurst, Solihull. You know what I mean? And we want to say big condolence to the family and all the friends, and also want to say big thanks to also the rescue service, because I know the rescue service was doing a great job. You know what I mean? I've seen if there was any more people that was actually in that lake, so they actually was doing a great service. You know what I mean? And it's just a tragedy when you actually see this sort of thing that has happened. You know what I mean? And it just shows you've got to be careful in this weather. You know what I mean? You just got to be so careful because you never know what can happen. And this is just a terrible thing for to happen to such a wonderful family. And I know the PM today, and a lot of other ministers in the House of Parliament, they was actually paying their respects and they was actually paying their tribute. And it's just terrible to see this, the 6-year-old who was actually taken to hospital, as I say, just before we came online, he actually died, you know what I mean? So we say big shout out to the family, and I say big condolence to the family also. And I just say, as I say, it's just such a devastating. And Solihull is not too far from here, so it's just on the border with us. So it's like home, you know what I mean? So and so it's what we call in our neighborhood, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things, and there's nothing you can say to explain that, you know what I mean? And I say, as I say, and I think the only thing we can say that sort of without being, you know, is to sort of parents just, you know, look out in this time and be aware of where your children are going and where your children are playing, you know what I mean, especially when it's so cold, because, you know what I mean, to avoid anything like this happening again. And I'm sure the family who's lost the 4 boys, you know what I mean, will also tell you this, you know what I mean. And it says this is a great, deep regrets that we have to actually announce this, yeah? Terrible. Let's just have a little moment, because, you know what I mean, we like to do this, just a little moment. Thank you. Now, moving on. Now, and there's still some more tragedy that's happening. 27 Ethiopian men was actually found in Zambia. And they was actually found on the road in Zambia. And they're actually migrants. And they said it's like their body was actually dumped on the road. And they were just left there. Nobody knows who actually placed their body there. Nobody knows. But they actually allegedly died from thirst and exhaustion. You know what I mean? And as I say, they're migrants trying to, you know what I mean, to find a better life. When people talk about migrants, they always say, oh, migrants. And you hear about all the bad news about, you know, migrants. You hear all the bad news about migrants. And then you realize that it's just people trying to find a better way of life. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You're trying to find work and trying to find a better way of life. And sometimes when you see this sort of thing is happening, it's just a tragedy. And we're still staying with that sort of that sort of story, because 3 people has also late today. This also comes in. Like 3 people has actually been found dead in the English Channel. There was also migrants as well. You know what I mean? I say because you know they tried to cross. And as I say, 3 people actually died, you know what I mean? And still something more devastating also, simply, this just seems to be bad news. 100 people has died well, 100 people has died in a sinkhole, and this happens in Africa, yes, happening in Africa. And in the Congo, I should say Congo, Africa, which is, Congo is Africa. And what has happened, there has been a lot of rain, a lot of floods, and what we call a sinkhole. A sinkhole just opens up and it takes in a house, it takes in the road, it takes in everywhere. You know what I mean? And so, as I say, 100 people has actually lost their life. And when you see this tragedy going on so much, we think about what is it is going on with our planet? What is it going on? Is it the fact that the so-called greenhouse gas effect? Are we seeing a lot of this happening now in our planet? You know what I mean? So, as I say, on all those families that, you know what I mean, that's got hurt or have lost somebody in this sort of situation, we all like to say big condolence, you know what I mean? And sometimes we feel your pain. Yeah, let me say thank you. And the other thing about, you know what I mean, you will never actually, sometimes you can never actually understand this, you know what I mean, until it's happened to you or it has happened to some of your family, you know what I mean? And I just say it's just one thing after another that actually keeps happening all the time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Hoping to talk to my guests very, very soon on the line. You know, I mean, expecting my guest is Marcia Anderson from Children of the Sun. You know, we've had her on this program before, and we're hoping to actually get her reaction and having a chat with her this afternoon. As I say, Want a big shout out to you, actually. Christine, how you doing? Also, Brenda, big shout out to you. Jade, Michelle, Sean, Colin, Donna, big shout out to you guys. Hope all is well with you. And look after yourself. Keep warm. And as I say, it is cold. Now, my next story is like, this is very interesting. We actually talk about this. Sister Space. Sister Space actually, which helps support women, helps support African Caribbean women, British African Caribbean men with domestic violence and also abuse. Now, I must say this charity is not just for British African American people or Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean heritage people. It's not just for those people, but it deals with that a lot. And the lady who, at the head of it, Miss Ngozi Fulani, has Miss Ngozi Fulani, yes, has as you know, she was involved in that row with Lady Hussey, the Queen's, the Queen lady in waiting. And as I say, that breaks last week. You know what I mean? And we was actually talking about that. Well, she's actually said, and what she has found since she's actually talked about the situation is the fact that what has happened, she has suffered so much abuse. You know what I mean? What they have to do, they have to actually close the charity down that was helping all these women that was being abused. And so she has to close the charity down. Also because of health and safety reasons, because they're scared of being attacked and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's what's actually happening in this racist row. You know what I mean? The other thing as well, what this group does, it also, I must also tell you what this group also, they've been a campaign for a lot of things, you know what I mean? I mean, this lady, Miss Ngozi, has just made the headlines, you know what I mean? But they've been doing great things for a while. And one of the things they actually do is they have this law, which is actually called Valerie's Law, right? They've been campaigning for Valerie's Law for a long time. Now, Valerie's Law is, what had happened, I'll tell you a little bit about Valerie. What had happened with Valerie? Valerie was a lady, a Caribbean lady, British African Caribbean lady. And what had happened, her partner constantly abused her, right? Constantly abused her and her children. She was killed with a machete. A machete? They call it machete. We call it machete. She was killed with a machete and also stabbed with a screwdriver, and she died. Now, what they actually, the charity has been trying to get is Valerie's Law, because this is one of those cases that actually slips through the loophole. Yes, it slips through the loophole. And they had known about Valerie's case for some time, but as I say, it is one of those cases that actually slip through the loophole. And what the charity has done, Sister Space, is trying to get Valerie's Law so this sort of thing doesn't happen again. It doesn't slip through. So they actually help people, and so this sort of thing doesn't not slip through. So that is what some good things that this charity actually does. Marcia, are you there? Talk to me. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, I'm here.
I can see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm here. Lovely
Good
to see
How are
you.
I'm fine.
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
You're good.
Yes, yes,
Good afternoon.
it's a shame hearing what's happening. I think the young lady is having some issues with
Yeah.
watchdogs coming down on her organisation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's she's doing some good work though. So I hope whatever's going on behind the scenes is resolved so that our women who are going through these issues can continue to receive support. She's been receiving a lot of hate. I've been looking at some of the comments online, and she's been called a racist because other groups who need that sort of support aren't having access to her services. It's for black women, and
Well,
she's been receiving a lot of negative.
yes, she has. And I actually came up in a case where they say it doesn't just deal with Caribbean and Afro heritage people. You know what I mean? Anybody can go there and get help. You know what I mean? Because I've actually been looking at this. I mean, so it's just one of those terrible things.
But it's a backlash.
Yes.
It's a backlash that she's going to receive. It was obviously she's going to receive
the
backlash.
charity does great work, because I was actually talking about Valerie's Law. You know what I mean? And what Valerie went through, and Valerie was one of these. Even they had known about Valerie's case, it's like one of those ones the way it waited and waited and waited and it slipped through. You know what I mean? And we've seen this. It's not the first time we've seen. We've heard of this. We've heard of Sarah's law, don't we?
Mm,
You know what I mean?
that's right. That's right. There's a lot of work needs done, and communities need to get on board and support women.
Yeah,
It's the violence against women is increasing, especially during these types of crisis. You know, when we should be pulling together.
that's right.
We find
And
women are
and it also seems to get worse at this time of year because I
this
was
time of
actually
year. All
it's Christmas, isn't it? And the holiday period. And I was actually checking out something earlier on, and they were saying that about 50% of people with partners, you know what I mean, are expected to come under some kind of abuse simply because of even the cost of living crisis is not helping either.
that's a high number. fifty
Yeah,
percent. That's half the population of women.
yes, who's got partners?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's got partners, married or wives or girlfriends or whatever? Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah,
Excuse me. Yeah, it's been that way for a long time. More and more people are coming forward and reporting this type of thing. It's been going on for so long. And when you have families together and all the issues that have been brewing over the year, that it all just culminates at that one time a year when we've got presents for people are drinking. Drink plays a massive part,
of
and
course.
you know, being together with family that you generally wouldn't be around the rest of the time. And also the isolation. I suppose people are away from schools and work and other things. So a lot can happen when everything shuts down until January.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
there's a lot of pressure on people. And that's
yeah.
no excuse at all.
No, there's no
No
excuse for that. No,
excuse.
no, no excuse for that. You know what I mean? And they call it the season of goodwill, don't they?
They call it,
The season of goodwill.
yeah, you're ever so quiet. I can hardly hear you,
You can't
Carl.
hear me.
I'm
You can't hear
struggling
me.
to hear you at the moment.
Okay, I can hear you.
I don't know. I've got my volume up, everything up on this side.
Yeah.
I don't know
Anyway,
why I can't hear what
I'm sure
you're
we sort it out
saying.
very quickly. Now, can you hear me now?
Okay,
You can hear me. You
not
said
very
okay, so you
well.
must can hear me.
I
That's,
can hear. I can work out what you're saying because it's
that
very
was,
obvious.
in
I'm
other
doing
words,
a
you
bit of
can
lip
lip
reading
read.
over here.
Can you lip read?
Well, I have to make the best of the
I
situation,
know.
Carl.
No,
So I
I
can
must move.
hear you, but
I
you're
must,
very quiet. So
I
I'm
must.
straining a little bit to hear
Okay,
everything.
I must move on. Um, and I know you've actually know this person. Now, a 10K reward has been offered to find Levi Davis. Yes,
Mm,
and his family has put up this money. Now, Levi has disappeared from the 29th of October, and he actually was in Barcelona. That was the last sighting of him. And there's some investigations actually going on, but we can't say anything to support those investigations. So I don't know, Marcia, you know this man very well.
I do. Yeah, I used to foster up until a couple of years back,
Yeah.
and he was one of my early back in the day when he was just a 7 year old. He came to my place. He stayed for 3 years, and he very extraordinary. Made a massive impact on everybody he came across. The
Mhm.
school that he used to
Mhm.
go to, uh, praying for his return as well. They all remember him. There's so much goodwill, so many well wishers hoping
Mhm.
that he returns home, and we just pray for his family at
Yeah.
this time that they just find the strength to
Yeah.
hold together strong.
To
But
hold
yeah,
together
he's
strong.
always been very, very talented,
Yeah.
very
I
funny,
get.
very
I
lovable.
get that he was. I've never seen him when it was an X Factor or anything like that. But I get that he was a rugby
Yeah,
player.
yeah, he was known for his rugby, but obviously with the personality Levi has, he was bound to become a celebrity.
I see what you're saying.
Once you meet Levi, you never forget him. So
Yeah.
yeah, he was on celebrity dating shows,
Was
celebrity
he?
singing. I think, yeah, Celebrity X Factor. I think he might have come second with the group he was with. I think that was a
Okay.
fundraising event. But
Mhm.
often, behind all of that, there's a lot of turmoil, and I believe he was going through his own trials. And just pray, man. Just pray that Levi's
Yeah, I hope
somewhere
there's
laying
somebody.
low for a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
he'll
As I
come
said,
come resurface.
there's some information that the investigator, actually the family has hired an investigator, and there's some
Mm,
things that has actually turned up, but we can support that, so
okay.
we can go any further with that. Yeah, that's how that
Okay,
is.
I'm not aware of that, but I do understand there just comes a point where the Spanish police wasn't well, the family didn't feel the police were
We are doing enough.
investigating thoroughly,
Okay,
and
one of those ones.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
pray for his return.
Right, Marcia, most moving on because a windwash generation man. Now, I got to tell you, this victim, um, what's his name? Roy Harrison. Now, Roy Harrison came to the UK when he was 6. He's now 44. And he won, in 2011, there was a riot, the Mark Duggan riot in London. And he went into a shop and he was arrested and charged with a crime he didn't commit. Now, after that, he spent years, lost his business, faced deportation, lost his partner, lost his job, lost everything. He's been living in dustbins, been living in shed, he's been living in, you name it, he's been living it in. Now, and he hasn't been having any help. Now, according to some news that's coming out of London, a couple of days ago, he's actually been granted the right to stay in the UK. Can you imagine that? You've been charged with a crime, haven't done anything, and you have to go through all that suffering. And he's not the only Windrush person when you come across that's actually going through all this kind of devastating thing. And they also talk about the Windrush compensation. You've had people who's been waiting for the Windrush compensation and they're dead. A lot of the family won't like that, but it's the reality of things. Marcia, I know you do some work with the Windrush, and you know a lot about this, what's happening with the Windrush generation.
Yeah, a lot of claimants aren't actually receiving their compensation as
That's right.
easily as they should actually. So I suppose there's a backlog of cases, and as you say, there are victims who aren't making it. They've had to wait so long, and they're
Yeah,
perishing.
yeah,
During this wait, unfortunately. So yeah, it's been a very unfair system, and they're dragging their feet in terms of making these compensation payments.
mm,
Yeah, but
it's
that shouldn't discourage anyone.
no,
Still
no, no.
go onto the Windrush um, website, the
Yeah,
compensation scheme website. If you feel you have a claim,
yeah,
then don't be discouraged by that and
okay,
put in your application. I think more people are eligible than once thought for the
yeah,
Windrush compensation scheme. And not only those primarily affected, but secondary to family members who had to support the victims or lost out grandchildren and children are also entitled to claim as well. So they're secondary victims of this
yeah.
scandal.
And
And
this has been going for such a long time. It's
hmm,
been going on for such a long time. You know what I mean? I mean, this claim and the victims, you know what I mean? It has been going on for such a long time. I can remember
yeah,
um, talking about a lady on radio, and she lives in Wolverhampton, and she helped a lot of the Windrush generation, and she actually
Pauline.
died before she actually
She did.
gets
Her
her
name was
compensation.
Pauline.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
She was one of the first to really raise
that's right.
awareness of what was going on. I think
Yeah,
at the time, so many people suffered quietly. They couldn't believe what was going on, and
yeah,
they thought it was just them. They had
yeah,
no idea that there were so many others in the same position.
yeah,
Because they were made to feel they were intimidated and made to feel ashamed of the position they were in at the time. And there was no one really they felt they could go to receive
yeah,
help.
yeah,
Very, very disgusting, very
it is.
disgraceful.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, let me move on. As you know. The show is packed this afternoon. Now, as per usual. Now, a report of stop and search. This report has gone on for 12 months. And the report has actually found that an international, no, an independent, forget the international, an independent task force needs to be set up to deal with the stop and search and how police use their power. This is what the report has come out with, and this is what the report has said. And this will actually encourage people to trust the police more. You know what I mean? And so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Because sometimes when they put these reports, nothing ever happens. Marcia?
It's about time.
Yeah.
It is about time. Even when we were kids, and even before we were of that age, this stop and search, just by other names, really.
Yeah.
But young people, young black people in the streets
Yeah.
being harassed in this way. The thing is, it has such a devastating, traumatic effect that we don't speak about. You know, a lot of youngsters go through post-traumatic stress disorder after that. They're having nightmares, flashback. Some, it affects them so badly they have to drop out of education because they're so traumatized by the way they've been treated by the police. Some have stopped so many times as well. It's not like they just stop once and that's it. So some of them develop just this sense of paranoia and agoraphobia. They can't leave the house because they're so afraid of this. So there's a lot that we don't really talk about in terms of the psychological impact on youngsters.
I can imagine.
And how this can damage them, scar them permanently.
Yeah. Wow.
If you can imagine, I mean, you're a youngster, you're going about your business, and next minute you're afraid for your life half the time because the police, they're forgetting when it comes to our children that they are children that you're handling.
Yeah. Totally.
But and I've seen videos where youngsters are thrown to the ground, and there's 4 or 5 officers or more than that sometimes around them. Right here in UK, right here in our city as well.
We tend to think it's just coming from the United States. You know what I mean? We always see those videos from the United States. But as I say, it's happening right here in the UK.
Yeah. I've seen children slammed to the ground by officers just for questioning and standing up for their rights, and saying, I haven't done anything, and they're already accused of resisting. And, But it's there's a lot happening. We don't really
we don't really
discuss enough. So I'm glad to hear about this.
Yeah, as I say, we'll see what the reports, because you always hear about these reports, you know what I mean, and then nothing happens, you know what I mean. So it's interesting to see what happens.
Can't go back there again.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what happens. Now let me move on. Now let me go to Jamaica. Now Jamaica. I always say Jamaica. Now 4 people were killed on Palisado's main road. The road links, actually, Port Royal and also the Palisado's main road, and it also goes to Kingston. Also the Norman Manley International Airport. So as I said, 4 people were actually killed in a very, very bad car accident. And we always mention car accident because car accidents is such a terrible thing, and we always sort of don't talk about it as much as we should. So it's just one of those things which is actually devastating when you see. You know what I mean? It's absolutely devastating.
I lost my dear uncle in a horrific accident in Jamaica.
Serious.
Just recently as well. One of my young uncles. He was in a taxi and but no survivors. It was a horrible, really horrible crash. So rest in peace to in Kingston, Jamaica.
Wow.
And really devastated the whole family actually.
Of course it's devastated. Of course it's very really love things like this. It's like sometimes you just think the way some people drive, it's they don't care. And we see this here as well. You know what I mean? Sometimes we see some people drive here. I mean, like, sometimes when I go out in the night, if I go out in the night, it's like I don't really want to drive because you see some people driving and you don't know how they drive like that. Really don't.
Yeah.
It's like they haven't got a
Yeah.
care. I remember some years ago where I lived. I remember a terrible accident in front of my house, and a BMW. Now this is it. A BMW literally writes a bus off. Can you imagine a BMW writing a bus off? Now the
Wow.
BMW was coming down, and the bus swing to the other side of the road. Can we drive on the left? Right. Now
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
BMW was coming down on the right. The bus is on that
Wow.
side of the road because he's going up.
Wow.
The BMW is coming down, which is on the left, and the BMW writes the bus off. Can you believe that? And
It's mad.
the sad thing about it, it wasn't far from my house, and I heard this thing go boo, and I'm thinking, what the hell is that? And I thought something had come through the house. And when I get up and look, and I saw this car on the other side of the road. It shouldn't be on that side of the road. And then I went over, and I called the police, and there was just this guy. He was just sitting there, and he couldn't move out of his seat. Couldn't move. He was the only person in the car. He couldn't move up to the seat. And I think this happens about 8 o'clock in the evening, and the whole thing wasn't cleared up until about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
He was wedged in the car. They couldn't get him out. And the sad thing about it, a couple of days after, we learned that he had died.
Oh
Which
dear.
is just such a terrible thing. I mean, but as I said,
Yeah.
you don't know why people speed so much.
It's-
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's horrible witnessing traffic accidents like that, especially when you know of the fatality as well. It's horrible.
It
And
is
I've
hard.
seen a few as well, and I don't drive, and I'm just terrified. I just think, oh my God, I couldn't.
Have you ever learned?
Want to.
Have you ever learned?
I used to have lessons. I didn't. I didn't
Get
go
your
through
confidence
it
up, man,
though.
and go for it.
Yeah, not after you're listening to you now. No way, no way. I'm too old now
Get your
anyway.
confidence. You'll
I'm
be
too
fine.
old
Get your
now.
confidence and
But
go
I
for it.
use taxis a lot.
You know,
I
that's
use
right.
taxis quite a bit, and the taxi drivers, some of them,
Yeah.
God bless them, but I'm holding on to my seats.
You
Some
all
of the
know.
time,
So,
the chances the taxi drivers take,
uh,
it's mad. It's mad.
serious. So you
But yeah,
you become the controlling driver.
backseat driver. Just I don't know. Yeah.
No. So you
know.
become one of these drivers, because I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad if somebody's driving me. But I'm in the early days, probably like, you know, I'm not so much bad now. I can relax now when somebody's driving. But like, you know, there's a stage where you go to where somebody's driving you or you're the driver, and every time the person brake and you're the passenger, you brake as well.
I know.
So
I
you
know.
can do
That's
you can do
driver's
strange things. You can mess with you like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it's just being a driver.
Oh Lord, it's gonna move.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the roads are crazy. The roads are crazy at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
There needs, especially in the cities, there's just so much overcrowding
Well,
and
what I find about it in the cities, or even say the center of the city, is because you can't go inside the middle of town, right? So what they've done then, they push all the traffic out onto the ring road.
yeah, that's what's
So
happened.
the ring road and the outer circle road are more full because you can't go
Yeah.
into the city, and that's what they've done. So especially in Birmingham, so what they actually do is mess the city up. And
Yeah,
so
it's mad.
everything that has to go into the city, because certain cars can't go into the city because they'll charge you,
Too
right?
necessary, that's
So
right.
you can't go into the city. So what they actually do then, they most of the drivers who generally wants to go to the city or could go through to the city to get somewhere else, they don't go that way.
Yeah.
They just come onto the ring road or the outer circle road, and that is packed.
That's it.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is
So
actually,
it's
which is
even worse than ever
yeah,
before
yeah,
now, isn't
more
it?
traffic worse than ever. I mean, London is bad with traffic. I mean, the first time I went to London, I thought, oh my days. But Birmingham is getting just as bad.
Yeah, it
And that's not
is.
crying.
It is.
That's not crying our city down. It's just the reality of things. Yeah,
It is.
it is.
It is. So many
Anyway,
cars on the road.
let me move on. Now, 4 men has been held on a double murder in Jamaica. And this happened in Manchester. And these guys, they actually killed 4 people. And they went into a supermarket, and they say they killed quite a few people, another 4 people. Now, they was actually held. You know what I mean? Now, when they was held, they actually find AK-47, 9mm pistol. Yeah, and they say they tried to rob the supermarkets, and they say they've been held, and police are still investigating, I should say. And I don't know what is going on when you see all these people running around with guns, and they don't make guns. But you can make guns, but they don't make guns in Jamaica. A lot of those guns are imported. And I know Prime Minister Honis has been to the United States, and he's trying to get help to all those guys who's selling all those bad things down, guns, ammunition, all kind of things, especially in the season of goodwill. So them selling parcel, but them selling something else. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, my next story comes today. The BBC. Now, the BBC is like, you know, the BBC is BBC what you call the top of the top. Now, according to the Voice newspaper, the BBC is set to axe African Caribbean local radio shows. Staff were told, my apologies, staff has actually told the Voice newspaper that they are worried about the future of diversity. And a presenter who actually is a presenter, a writer, Ed Adeo, he actually says he doesn't think the BBC cares about the African Caribbean listeners. Yeah, as I said, they're cutting these programs. You know what I mean? And there's, this is happening from last month. Yeah, November, and nobody's talking about it. So I came and I was looking at the Voice newspaper, and I thought, let's run with this. Now, I know quite a few MPs and celebrities have actually signed a letter to the BBC saying that not to do this. David Harewood, the actor, Adrian Lester, also the actor, Diane Abbott, Dawn Butler, and also Baroness Lawrence, which is actually Stephen Lawrence's mother, have actually signed that letter to the BBC not to reduce staff hours or cut the staff hours. Now the BBC, my license and your license money pays the BBC. Now there's some big shows in the BBC that people get a lot of money. There's a big sports program. Couldn't get that out. There's a big sports program that gets a lot of money. You know the guy who we see on the BBC with a big sports program? Well, he gets a lot of money. So why don't they cut some of these people's wages and carry on with this program instead of cutting this program? Marcia, where are you gone? What do you think, Marcia? What do you think? What do you think?
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. When I first heard that, I thought it was some kind of joke. I thought it was some kind of mistake.
It's ridiculous, eh?
It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're always the first on the firing line when anything gets a shock, aren't we?
Exactly.
You know,
and you know what as well? Not interrupting you. And some of us,
Yeah.
we're always the first ones to rush into the BBC. Oh, I'm going to the BBC.
Yeah.
We've seen that, what? Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's a lesson that we need to create our own independence.
Yeah.
Such as this is a start, isn't it? You know, our own independent channels and networks and platforms, and not become too dependent on mainstream, should I say.
Yeah.
But
we see,
that's
as I say, we
outrageous.
see, oh, I'm going to the BBC. Even some of our people who actually train in like local organization. Oh, I'm going to the BBC. Actually, I should tell you this. I used to actually, there was a program on the BBC. I'm not going to say which program it is. Maybe you can work it out. There was a program on the BBC that actually me and my colleagues used to actually choose music for. Yes. And we did that for quite a few years. A well-known program on
Yeah.
the BBC, Birmingham. And we did that for, as I said,
Okay.
we did that for quite a few years. We chose the music for that particular program. And then one day they actually, I'm not going to say any names, the actually person that we actually presented the program, very, very fantastic, wonderful man. He come and say, well, the BBC was actually cutting back because they want to create more diversity. So they was going to review, he wasn't going to need in the music anymore. And literally what they was actually saying, they was encouraging more diversity. But I think this was the time when the BBC was actually getting more women, you know what I mean, into the BBC. So
Yeah.
the long and short of it, the presenter of that program, he no longer had that program, but a well-known from our region came, a well-known woman from a well-known female from our region came and presented that program. Yeah, which is absolutely marvelous, nothing wrong with it. But now we see they're talking about cutting again.
Yeah, and there's not much anyway. 'Cause, you know, it's not as if
No,
there's a load
no.
of
Couple of
stuff.
hours a
There's
week.
only
Couple of
small
hours a
amounts.
week. No,
Yeah,
I think this is going out through the whole country, which is only a couple of hours a week,
yeah.
which is
And
ridiculous.
do we just accept that quietly? I mean, I'm not really much of a follower of those programs anyway, but it's still outrageous.
Of course, it's outrageous.
You know, we pay our license.
Yes, I said that.
We pay our license fees, and we're entitled to be served in this way. Let me just turn this off. My TV was on pause, and it's just come off on pause itself. Okay, sorry about that. Look, my
You got an automatic TV. Turn the television off,
Yeah.
Marcia.
yeah,
Marcia, turn the telly off.
I've turned it off. It was paused on what was make me miss my show. I think it was
Now let me move on.
Coronation Street. No,
St.
really
Mary.
don't.
We're going to St. Mary,
Yeah,
Jamaica.
What
Now,
are we doing about the BBC though? Is there any sort of protest just before you move on? Is there any kind of what's going on with that?
as I said, there's a couple of people who's actually signed
Accepting
letters. There's a couple of people who's actually signed letters, but a couple of celebrities and a couple of MPs. You know what I mean? That's all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But as I said, we haven't heard big about this. You know what I mean? We haven't heard big about it. But we see,
Okay,
we see what
yeah.
happens. Let me move on. I have to move
Yeah.
on because time is going. Now, a farmer,
Yes, yes.
Michael Swaby. Now, Michael Swaby is the world's best coconut farmer. He was voted the world's best coconut farmer, and he's from St. Mary in Jamaica. Now, I mean, as you know, coconut makes a lot of things. You can get coconut to eat. You can get coconut to drink, the juice that is. You can grate a coconut. Coconut also make hair oil. Hair can also make cosmetics. All kind of stuff coconut does. You know what I mean? I'm sometimes talking about the coconut farm that they actually do in Nigeria. So it's a big product. And what he actually does, he actually reap 1,000 coconuts a week from a 30-acre farm in St. Mary. So he's been voted the world's best coconut grower. And also another Jamaican, Dr. Wayne Myrie. Dr. Wayne Myrie has been voted the best coconut scientist in the world. There you have it.
Clap, 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 clap.
We like to do those because, you know what I mean? It's,
It sounds
so you
like
see-
a modern day George
Sorry?
Washington Carver.
Just what's
It sounds like a modern day George Washington Carver.
Yes.
The peanut guy, the
Yes.
more than peanut guy.
Of course,
back in the day.
we need things like this, you know what I mean? Which is absolutely marvelous, you know what I mean? And I'm so and it what this as well, you know what I mean? Instead of sometimes we look at different things, what it does as well, it encourages the young people. You know what I mean? When you got somebody like that who's so successful, it encourages the young people to get involved and say, look, you can do this. You know what I mean? This is in your own territory. You can get into this. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much ingenuity. We've got so many resources and understanding the science of how we can extract the best out of the land. So we can't overlook.
Yeah.
We see these things as basic skills.
Do you use coconut?
Say
much?
that again.
Do you use coconut?
I use coconut for everything.
You use coconut for everything.
I'm the original coconut girl. That sounds bad. Coconut's used as an insult.
I'll tell you what I have.
But I love my My
tell you,
favorite chocolate is Bounty.
yeah,
My hair oils are coconut based. I use coconut oil on my skin. I cook with coconut oil.
marvelous.
I use coconut for everything. So
Yeah,
that's yeah.
that's great.
Coconut's very healing.
It is very. That's right. Yeah,
It's good for
yes,
wounds and stuff, and it's good for your digestive system
it
as
is.
well.
That's right.
You're not
Marvelous.
actually supposed to be cooking with vegetable oil. If you're going to use any oil, it's
It's
coconut
coconut oil.
oil
Yeah, yeah,
or olive oil.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I haven't
And
had for a long, long time. Have you ever had this drops?
yes, man. Coconut drops
I
and
have.
gizzarda and
Gizzards.
toto,
I have.
everything.
I haven't had
I'm
any
not
drops
pronouncing
or
it right,
gizzards for
really.
years.
Gizzarda. My mom used to
You watch.
have me
You watch now.
baked in coconuts.
Somebody who's watching this program we're gonna send you some.
I used to love that. Not
Yeah.
good for you, though, That's why we all have this diabetes stuff. But boy, we used to make it in our house and we used
Drops.
to sell it to local shops and
Drops.
churches and everywhere. So
Well,
yeah, grew up on that stuff.
where I grew up, we used to have a lady in like our village, and anytime she sews, she's so close, and every time we go and pass her house, we always go say we're going to such and such a person's house because we know we're gonna get some drops.
Yeah.
Which is
Yes,
actually
lovely,
which is actually marvelous.
lovely
Marvelous.
sugar-based coconut nonsense. But yeah, good on him,
Yeah,
because
fantastic.
it's good for the economy for us
Of
to
course, it's good
use
for the economy.
what grows naturally around
I'm not naturally around. Fabulous, fantastic.
in the Caribbean.
Now,
Good news.
let me look at football. Football. Have you been watching the football, Marcia?
Me?
Yes.
Watch football?
No.
Do I look like I got nothing better to do than watch football? Than watch men kicking a ball around the pitch
No.
for weeks and ends?
I want to talk about the football a little bit here, but I need to have a little rant about the football as well. Because, you know what I mean, everybody's talking about football, so I need to do this. But before I do that, let me say Argentina has actually beat Croatia, and they beat them 3-0. So Argentina is in the final. Yeah. So who are they going to meet? I think by the time this program finishes, we will know who Argentina is going to meet in the final on Sunday. Now, as we know, England, I don't have to say it anymore. Yeah. So it's a shame, England, with what happened with England. Now, this is my rant, a bit of my rant. I'll have to rant it here. Now, from my point of view, sometimes I don't know what is going on, because I think a couple of things I need to point out. I think Gareth Southgate, the manager, should have started with Marcus Rashford. Yes. You have to start with the best player who's got different options to score a goal. Marcus Rashford is a goal scorer. Full stop. He only played for 137 minutes. Yes. Some people say that was a shame. But you have to start with your best players. He came on as a substitute. I think the first time he came on as a substitute, he went boom, 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 boom. He catched the ball 3 times, and it was a goal. We seen the other match he scored. I think he actually did start that match. But you have to start with your best players. It's no use having him as a substitute, because by the time you bring him on as a substitute, by the time he warms up into the game, he can't get into the game. So I think that was just a terrible mistake. The other thing, a lot of people's been having a go at Saka, saying Saka didn't do enough. This is a young guy. He's been through a lot. He's done great. He actually get the penalty that England scored from. But a lot of nasty people on social media has been going, I got this young man saying he should go back to his own country, which is absolutely ridiculous. This is his country. Yes. So we know where those racist people comes from. Now, my other point is now, while they're having a go at Saka, Mr. captain, Kane, is being wrapped up in, wrapped up. Harry, sorry, you missed the penalty. Oh, what a shame. What a terrible thing. Oh, now, football is a tough game. And to get to the final or to become the world champion, you have to be tough, right? It's not a carrying game. Forget the crying. It's not a crying game. I think the crying game was done by a song called Dave Berry. So forget the crying game. It's not a crying game. It's a football game, right? Now, Harry Kane has a penalty. Now, instead of he put the goal into the goal and say, if the goalkeeper put the ball into the goal, and if the goalkeeper save it, great, fantastic, great. I'm not saying the goalkeeper should save it, but if the goalkeeper save it, you think, oh, I would have got it in if the goalkeeper don't save it. Instead of it, and kick it over the bar. So you lose your chance. I said, it's a tough game, no goal. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to be tough. And it's no use you saying, it's a penalty shot. He wasn't doing it in a penalty shootout. It's not like he's running around for 90 minutes. Yeah? And then we're tired enough after 90 minutes. We have to go for a penalty shootout. Yes? So I think that is actually, you know what I mean? That is actually, as people say, we're sorry for the captain, we're sorry for Kane and all the rest of it. It's just one of those things, and it's just one of the hard reality of things. To get to the world champion or to be a winner, you have to be tough. And all those missing you're doing on the bar or missing penalty, you have to put them in the goal because you reach that stage. You are on that level. Yeah? So, that is what actually think about that, you know what I mean? But think about it, it's the reality. Forget the tears. I never see Stanley Matthew crying. I never see Gordon Banks crying. And I don't see all these great early footballers, which I never know. I've only read about them crying. Yeah? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now moving on. Now. Wow. Still. Looking at entertainment. Now Toots Hibbert's daughter, Liba, has taken over as the lead singer of Toots and the Maytals. Now Toots actually died in 2021. So this is actually marvelous. And I know this lady been doing a lot of work with her father in the early days. You know what I mean? So we say it's absolutely marvelous. And we'll see where they actually go next. You know what I mean? She's a wonderful lady. And I'm looking forward to hear the tune that she's going to be on. You know what I mean? So as I say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me move on. Now, the other thing that's exactly happening is, wow, DJ Khaled, you could say, DJ Khaled has been burned out by Sizzla Kalonji. Now, apparently, Sizzla Kalonji has actually said DJ Khaled has disrespected him. So he had two platinum plaque from DJ Khaled, and he actually burnt it. So it is one of those things, and that's been all around on social media. And they've actually said he's actually taking down the stuff he actually put on social media. He's actually removed it, and it's not there anymore. But as I say, that is one big thing going on. There's also things that's actually going around that there was something else going underneath the quiet, and some other thing that was actually going on. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we're going to show where Sizzla is actually burning the plaque and what he's actually the plaque and what he's actually saying about this. As I say, we see him here, and he's actually removing, making sure he's removed the child from the child's photograph, and then he's he's going to burn it. And I say, sometimes you don't wonder what is going on here. I always think, how do I say this? No disrespect to everyone or anyone. I always think sometimes it's better all of these guys come together and set up one massive organization for dancehall and reggae music and set up a massive thing. I'm talking about massive. They can record, they can promote, they can support, they can market, they can do everything. People that you can trust from one organization, massive thing. So, in the long term of it, and I'm not dissing anyone, in the long term of it, you won't have the possible chance of somebody saying that such and such a person is not doing this and such a person is not is disrespecting me. Yes? Or such and such a person is using the thing, because we know people do this as well. So I think a massive organization to sort of market dancehall music, and I'm talking about big, a lot of stars has actually make a lot of money out of dancehall. A lot of stars have make money out of reggae music. Put back some of those money into the industry and make the industry bigger. Make it top, make it bigger than Motown. Don't know whatever happened to Motown. Yes, make it bigger. And then you all come together. You're coming together to create this big organization. And if it's not for you, do it for the next generation. Support the thing. Do it for the next generation. It's all right, you say, me not get nothing out of it. Forget about what you'll get out of it. Doing it for the next generation and the people who is coming up after you. That's how you got to think. And I strongly believe that things like that should happen. You know what I mean? And not just in reggae music. In my own city here, I came across something very interesting the other day, where a lady, she actually puts on this wonderful play. And I actually went and see the play. And I think the play run at this particular place for a while. And then the play finished, and the play is not sort of had to move on, you know what I mean? Because actually this place is probably being occupied by somebody else. Right. Now, I actually see she puts up an appeal for finding somewhere else where she could actually run this play. Right. You hear I'm talking about? Big organization. So what I think we actually need from British, African, Caribbean people of descendants is to put some very big organizations, a stage, a theater, recording facilities for the next generation, for even the older people who can come there and have a drink or have a meal or get advice. Any situation you are going through, an organization like this come together and help these people and help a bigger organization. And I'm not talking about no little thing, because I struggle to find somewhere sometime really, really nice and crisp to go. Yeah, can't find it right in my own town. Right. So we need something like that, massive, for whether it be theater, whether it be music, whether it be the, helping the senior citizen, helping anybody who's on the streets and hungry. And as I said before, don't just do it for me. Don't just do it for yourself. Do it for the next generation. Leave something. Some of you guys are saying, oh, this is the generation, this is the generation. But it's all right writing a book, but that's not enough. Because a lot of people don't read books. Some people do, and some people don't. It's not a lot of people. Marcia, where are you? Talk to me. What are you saying? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, I totally agree with you. We have a serious lack of venues.
Yes.
In us, and we love entertainment. We're so creative.
Of course we do.
We haven't got places to go and express, and we're not always welcome in other areas. We're just shoved along a lot
That's
of
right.
time.
We go, and we hire somewhere else to put on some of these dances.
Yeah.
Most of these dances, we hire it from somebody else. There's nothing wrong with hiring anything, but we need something of our own. And you know, the other thing as well, quickly, the other thing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing as well, if some of us say, okay, let's give £5, £5 is nothing. Right? If some of us say, let's give £5 for 18 months or even 2 years, could you see what that would go?
Yeah, we need to be thinking bigger than £5 though.
No, I'm just saying.
But yes.
How far £5 would go? Each person, a whole lot of us,
And then maybe,
whole lot of us.
Yeah, and then maybe in 20 years we will have a building.
No.
But yeah.
No.
I'm only
Marcia,
joking.
how much
I agree with what you're saying.
how much of us as people, of our descendants that's lived in the UK?
Yeah.
That's the point I'm driving at.
I mean, in the way we used to do partners, we can take out shares in property, and it's all about clubbing together, and we don't do enough of that.
Thank you.
You know, it's about speculating, seeing I love the way other communities will see big old churches and a post office and say, yeah, I'm having that, we're having that. And they'll set the machinery in motion so that all that money, all their resources go towards purchasing. And it's not necessarily one or two individuals doing that. They do this as a collective. So we need to form collectives and cooperatives and associations, really, where finance is being put together to purchase buildings. I know there is an organisation I know of, Our People, Our Legacy. They did a similar thing, and they helped to purchase a couple of buildings in Birmingham that way. And when we do have these buildings, they just need to be more accessible. It's pointless having buildings and you can't afford to go in and use them. So then you do end up going elsewhere anyway. I know creatives who want to put on plays and concerts and stuff, and they can't afford to use local premises.
That's right.
Because it's, so they have to go elsewhere, which defeats the whole object. But it's business and people have bills to pay, and sometimes community needs aren't always paramount. You're either a business or you're a community venue. Yeah. Often it's very hard to be both.
Let me say thanks for that. Our time is here.
I know, I'm always trying to get the last word in. You didn't ask me what was on my mind today, did you, Carl? No, I'm just going to very quickly...
I think we're running out of time.
Let me just get this on my phone to ask, mention an organisation as you're talking about collaborating and stuff. It's called the National Black Parents Association UK. It's a new organisation, and it wants 100,000 UK black parents to get together. So it's in response to child queue and other things that's been taking place. All right, I won't share much apart from saying they're there to advise and facilitate change and so on, and bring grassroots organisations, work in partnership, blah, 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 blah. Just look up the National Black Parents Association UK. They're there to work with schools, families, organisations to prevent the rise in exclusions and the bad treatment of our young children and all kinds of things. Marcia, it looks good. It looks positive.
Let me say thank you for that. We'll have to have a longer program when you come on again.
We'll have to have a longer program. It's 9:21 already.
Let me say thank you. We'll have a longer program next time. Let me say thank you. My time is here.
Thank you,
guys,
for inviting me on again.
Respect. Thank you. Thank you, my sister. Have a great Christmas if I don't see you before. I'm sure we'll see you before. Right. Let me say thank you guys for tuning in. I want to say thanks to my producer. He's been absolutely marvelous again this week. And let me say, God bless you. Look after yourself. Take care. My time is here. Good afternoon.
On Your Mind is sponsored by ACMC 339.0 New Style Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Studios, and Reggae Jam Jam.
Planning an event? Do it professionally. Please contact Breakthrough Event Management Team and get everything under one roof for both indoor and outdoor occasions, birthday parties, bridal and baby showers, anniversaries, funerals, backyard BBQs and more. We offer a video and photography service, marquees, decoration and a PA system to hire, with popular new style radio DJs spinning old and new school hits. Please contact 07584 197 380 and book all your catering needs with Reggae Jam Jam catering service on 0787 244 3765. And remember, do it good and done.